Reality in our economy, people who aren't able to get hired because of what happened in their past.
I feel like I'm an indentured servant here. You know, I'm qualified to work in corporate America as in an administrative position or a managerial position, but ultimately I'm not given the opportunity because I have a criminal background.
Well, there is some hope for people who want to literally wipe the slate clean. They can have a criminal record sealed or expunged, but there are some requirements. Scott Mitchell is an attorney with Lester and Mitchell who has been pretty busy doing this lately, but there are certain criteria, Scott, that you must have in order to do that. Give me a good idea of what that is.
Well, not everyone can get a sealing. A sealing is basically a process that removes your criminal history as being a public record so employers and other people can't find it. But there are some requirements and limitations to getting a sealing, and it does take a while to do it. First, you cannot have been convicted or adjudicated guilty of the crime that you're trying to seal.
If you've pled guilty to a crime.
You can plead guilty. You can even be found guilty after a trial. But as long as the judge does not adjudicate you guilty, that means convict you, that's one of the requirements that are met. In a lot of cases, most first offenders don't get adjudicated guilty by the judge. So that clears hurdle number one.
Okay.
Hurdle number two, you can never have sealed your record before. You can only do it one time. Number three, you can never have been convicted of anything either before or after the offense you're trying to seal. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, it has to be what's called a qualifying offense under Florida law. A lot of offenses you just can't seal.
Okay, and those would be, give me an example.
Most violent felonies, homicides, armed robberies, aggravated batteries, any sexual-related offense like a sexual battery. Almost every misdemeanor can be sealed, domestic violence battery being probably the biggest exception.
And we're talking only state here, no
just state
federal.
That's
okay,
right.
All right. You also have to apply to the FDLE in order to start this process. And
That's
from
right.
there you have to petition to the court.
That's right.
And that's something that you guys are doing for a lot of people. You're finding that you're doing this more often than not?
We get a lot of sealings. I think most of the criminal lawyers in Jacksonville are doing quite a bit of sealings now as you know, the market for getting hired is getting more and more difficult. People want these things off their record.
Yeah, it's very true. And also, any exceptions to these rules? I mean, is there something that if somebody wants to go and try to get this, you know, expelled or expunged from their record, is there anything that they should know? Anything that might, you know, come and haunt them later in life?
The sealing is a great benefit the Florida law gives you. If you get a sealing, with some exceptions, you can, on any application for employment, if you're asked the question, have you ever been convicted of a crime, you can answer no. Have you ever been arrested, charged, or gone to court, you can answer no. Even if you're put under oath or required to sign an affidavit, you can answer no. And the statute protects you from committing perjury by answering that question in the negative. But there are some exceptions. If you want to be a lawyer, the Florida bar has to know. If you want to work as a teacher, you have to disclose the sealed record to the Department of Education. If you want to work with kids or the elderly, for instance, as a foster parent, you have to tell that licensing agency. And there are a few more, but those are the big ones. And aside from that, you can say no to those criminal history questions if you've gotten your record
Even though
sealed.
you might have been convicted of a crime in the past, you can say no on those applications.
No, you cannot have been convicted. That's
Okay,
the issue.
convicted.
The withhold of adjudication of guilt or the judge saying I'm not going to convict you is the key prerequisite to getting your record sealed.
Okay. All right. It's very interesting. All right. Thank you very much, Scott. We appreciate it. Coming in on the morning show, Scott Mitchell is an attorney with Lester and Mitchell. And if you have more information, of course, we'll have their contact on news4jax.com. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.